One very personal thing that I wanted to share with you all today is how do I, as a founder, learn and grow from? What do I learn from? How do I grow? And this may sound like a very cliche answer, but I learned this very early on in my life. Most of my professional success was also happening because I was surrounded by really good people. The average of 5 around you, that whole principle, it's the best thing that I unlocked for myself. And I have made the mistake of not being surrounded by good people after I learned this and feeling really suffocated. And today, as a founder, unfortunately, when you're trying to build things, you're trying to put together teams, things will not always be very ideal. So, what has really worked for me is this ability to network. And sometimes it's beautiful how these networking events and just reaching out to someone and saying hi can lead to beautiful outcomes. I'll share an example. Just this last week, I'm a part of a running group of Founders Running Club in San Francisco. Someone posted an event in there, and that event was about a private dinner with a VC firm. I usually hate these kind of dinners because there's usually an agenda behind it. But for some reason, I felt like going, and I was like, okay, I'm anyway not meeting anyone else, so I might as well go. I go there. It's a round table of 12, 15 people. We all talk out our problems. Brilliant setup, brilliantly executed. I make friends. I come out with 2 people in the elevator. And up until this point of time, I knew them as someone who's trying to build a real estate company. They had talked about their fair share of struggles. And then we are waiting for the cab downstairs. And something happens with their cab. The cab cancels. And I'm waiting for my cab as well, but it's still 7 minutes away. And then we end up talking about other things in general life. Right? And I learned out that they own a bar here in San Francisco. And I'm like, okay, wait, you are a bartender and it's your own bar and you didn't tell that in the dinner. And it looked like a very formal setup. I didn't feel like it. I'm like, okay, I want to check it out. Oh, it's just the next block. So we both cancel our cabs and we go to that bar. And the minute you enter it, it's a different vibe. And of course, if you're entering it with the owner, everyone is coming and saying hi and hello to you. And then I realized that it's a brilliant place to bring my own customers to. And then the next customer I was supposed to meet for drinks, I invite them over at this bar. And guess what happens? We go in, this person forgets their ID card, but I know the bartender now, I know the bar owner now. So I just go in and say, hey, this is what has happened. And of course, like he's senior, you can look at him. So they're like, okay, please come in. And then they're treating us all in a very good way. And this customer of mine is really happy. And he's, what's happening? Are you a superstar here? And I'm like, no, I know this person. And after that, I have had 20 plus customer meetings in that bar, and 80-90% of them have been really good meetings. People have loved the place, people have loved the vibe, and I have become really good friends with the person who owns the bar because they keep hosting these events. And whenever someone is interesting, now they call me saying, Vikram, you probably want to be here. This is someone I know you're going to love and meet. I'm going to say hi on your behalf. And it has led to a spectrum of people into my life. Like it has like invited so many new things. And this is just one small example, non-technical, of how networking helps. But it doesn't stop there. It can happen online as well. You just need to, there are these brilliant indie hacker communities that you're a part of. What you're supposed to do is be out there and help people as opposed to always looking for something in return. And if there was one thing I would recommend any upcoming founder to work on, it would be their network. It is what is going to help you thrive. It is what's going to catch you when you fall down. It is what's going to push you when you need like a little bit of a push. It's the best thing ever. I know people who are posting for a year at a stretch and are probably still getting 30, 40 reactions on their post. People who are trying to sell something and no one is trying to buy from them. And sometimes I still make that mistake myself where my posts don't get that many reactions. But you know why that might be happening? There's just one word that underlines all of it. It's the story that you're trying to communicate. And I'm going to talk about what story really means and how I at least see it personally and why I think it probably would going to help you as well. Story is probably why I was able to raise venture money in the first place, because the people I was trying to raise from, they got married to this idea of what if Vikram was right. And that is all you need. Everything else is ifs and buts and questions and efforts that you can work on top of the year. When you're trying to make a sale, sure, you need to talk about the product, but what you're really trying to do is like hug that buyer on the other side because they are super confused. You're just trying to go in and tell them, hey, I understand what you're trying to go through. Let me help you make sense of all the products out there and let me tell you what we do and how it's different from everything else. But most importantly, help them make sense of what's out there because they don't know the market as well as you do. And the best way to do this is again via stories. Stories have been the single most powerful thing in my life. so far. It has led me to talk to people I have wanted to talk to. It has led to collaborations. It has led to me being able to raise money. It has led to me being able to acquire customers. It has led to me being able to retain a customer when they were feeling really bad about something that we messed up on the product side. And what really happens is that stories are not really that tough. So how do I view stories? For me, ultimately, everything that you are doing, the way you tell it to your brother or your sister or your sibling or your parents has a very different note from how you would put it out if you were to go on and talk on LinkedIn. The reason you are doing that with your brother or your sibling or your parents or your friend, or maybe when you're drunk, is because you are looking at life in a very different way. You are looking at sharing parts of your vulnerabilities. You are sharing parts of things that went right. You are sharing how clueless you feel about stuff. You're sharing what it is behind the scene. And I think everyone who struggles with narratives just needs to do this one thing. All you are supposed to do is figure out how to make what you're communicating more authentic. There are ways or nudges or hooks that could help you get there. And that is how I ended up starting a storytelling cohort for myself. I always end up thinking about myself as if I was not doing what I'm doing, I would probably be doing something around stories. From my childhood, I have loved watching movies. And sometimes when you're in a movie, you know it's not real, but you're so engrossed into it that when something happens, you start shedding it and you're like angry and you're frustrated, you are getting anxious and so on. It's just because the character in there has made a really good connect with you. And that is how I think people can unlock brilliant things for themselves in their lives. If you are interested more in the storytelling bit, hit me up and we can see where you are and how you can go about it. I'm also a learner all my life and I can share whatever I've learned.